afternoon all, I hope you're well. My name is Sian and welcome back to the Obsessive Maker podcast. And I say welcome back to those who've seen my first podcast, and to those who are joining me for the first time, welcome. This is only my second episode, so you haven't missed much so far. But this is the place where I want to share with you all of my creative passions. I thoroughly enjoy sewing and knitting and a little bit of leatherwork, and honestly anything I can get my hands on to make myself. Yeah, so who knows what this will expand to be. You never know in the future. So anyway, this is episode 2, and today's episode is all about sewing. So if you're here for knitting content, I'm really sorry to disappoint, but that will be in the next episode, which should be in a few days to a week's time. It all depends on when I finish my current project. So today's episode is about sewing, and the theme for my sewing podcast is my winter wardrobe, and it will be my plans, the inspiration, and also I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my color palette. So to get things started, I actually have a few of you to thank for the decision to split up my episodes into topic related or craft related topics. So Emma's Atelier specifically actually kindly offered me some fantastic advice and suggested that I kind of either put timestamps in my videos to show where the sewing content would be and where the knitting content would be, but I don't know how to do that, so I decided to split them into different episodes. So now you know. And also I had a lot of feedback from some of you, and I apologize if I'm not mentioning you by name. That was just so lovely and encouraging, and thank you so much to those who've watched my first episode and given me such lovely feedback and been so welcoming and positive. So thank you all. Well, let's get on for the topic of the day, and that is my winter wardrobe. So sewing. As you're probably aware, if you follow me on Instagram, I've kind of lost my sewjo over the last 6 months. I had a really productive 2020 for sewing, and I was sewing like crazy, making everything, including hundreds of masks. And I think by the time we came out of lockdown number 2 in Melbourne, I'd got to the point where I was literally just wearing activewear and sweatshirts and things like that. So everything I had been making, I wasn't actually able to wear. So I just kind of lost the joy of sewing garments. And I moved on to bra making, which I absolutely loved. And I made myself some really lovely Marlborough bras, which have been fantastic, and I do want to get on to making some more bras soon, because some of my ready to wear ones have been slowly wearing out over the last couple of months. But that is not a topic of today, but it does lead into the fact that I wanted to point out that my sewing now, I think, needs to be more based on needs versus wants. And as I'm sure you experience as well, we want to make all the things and we want to make beautiful things, but I also need some practicality in my life. So I've realized that I have some holes in my wardrobe. I don't need summer clothes, really, at all. And given that we are in winter here in the Southern Hemisphere right now, I have realized I need some jackets in my wardrobe. Not only jackets, but also a couple of warm tops that aren't knitted, things that I can layer up. And I do own a few Uniqlo Heat Tech thermals, but I don't really own anything that I can wear them underneath or act as as layers. When we lived in the UK 5 years ago now, I used to layer all the time, but here in Australia I do find, which is really weird, but I do find that you distinctly need a summer wardrobe and a winter wardrobe. it's almost like layering doesn't really work. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I need a few items. So I have decided to make a few jackets and just a few kind of like lightweight merino turtlenecks. One pattern I particularly love is the Seamwork Neenah, and I believe the actual pattern itself is a turtleneck dress, but I made just a top version of it last year before we went to Japan, and it was a fantastic piece for just throwing on. It was a lovely kind of layer I could just wear under my jacket, and it was just perfect. So I think I need a couple more of those. So I've decided to make myself a couple in these beautiful, don't know if you can see it, but these lovely merino bamboo ribbed jerseys that I got from the fabric store last year in their sale. And at the time, I was going through the process of working out my color palette, and my analysis worked out that I was actually a soft summer, so lots of kind of low saturation colors, so pastels, think summer and spring, but more cool toned, cool undertoned colors like these. So I bought these two merino bamboo jerseys for the specific purpose of making myself a couple of winter tops for this year, because it was too late to make them for last year. So I am going to make a couple of Neenah tops, turtlenecks, out of these, and yeah, they should be fairly quick makes. I know a lot of people really enjoy sewing with jersey. I don't really, surprisingly, because everyone loves it. But yeah, I'm just going to do it because I love the result when I've finished making them. I think it's just the fact, actually, I know the exact reason I don't like sewing with jersey. It's not because it's stretchy, it's because you have to use a twin needle. And I can't stand using a twin needle because I just can't get the right tension. And I know it's because I haven't had the patience to figure it out, but you know when the passion takes you and you just want to make something, you don't want to fiddle around with figuring it out. Yeah, I just, you know, I'm not a perfectionist. I'm just going to say I'm not a perfectionist. So yeah. So the other things I wanted to make, and this is these are a need and also a want, is I've been really inspired by lots of jackets. And as you are probably already aware, I have been working on making a lilac biker jacket. And the lilac fabric I'm using is a lovely wool cashmere coating that I got from Super Cheap Fabrics. And I actually did a burn test because I was really skeptical about the content of the fabric. It says it's a 98% wool, 2% cashmere. So I did a burn test on the swatch I had, and I think it's pretty accurate. And this stuff was $18 a meter or something ridiculous like that, something so cheap. So I've been working on that, and I do actually want to talk to you about it because I was actually inspired by an Acne leather jacket that I saw online either last year or the year before. I put it on my Pinterest board and I just fell in love with it, and I've been wanting to get one or make one ever since. So there are a few details on it that I wanted to kind of replicate on this one, namely the back of the jacket. And on the back of the jacket, you'll see there's some pleating. It's got a yoke, and then the actual back, it has some pleating, so it's got room to move. And so I wanted to try and replicate that. And the pattern I'm using, which is a Kwik Sew pattern, doesn't actually have that. It's just a standard, it's a standard center back seam. There's no yoke, there's no pleating. So I got the pattern. Excuse me while I bend over. I got the pattern piece out and then I decided to hack it. So from the back pattern piece, I created a back yoke, and then underneath the back yoke would be this piece here, which I've incorporated into a pleat into. in the back piece. So I've added about 2 inches into the width of the pattern piece so that I can add that pleat there. And then at the bottom, there's another lower piece there. So let me just translate that into fabric. So I did a muslin. I don't normally do muslins. I can't really stand the process of making a muslin because it sucks all the joy out of the making for me. And sometimes, you know, I just want to wing it. If it works out, fantastic. If it doesn't, too bad, but that's the joy of sewing to me. So back to the muslin. So as you can see, I translated that into some fabric, and this is the back that I came up with. So I've got the pleat here. That's the pleat on the other side. I attached a sleeve and half of a front, well, one side of the front, and I tried it on for fit and for the look, and I hated it. So I chucked that aside, and in the end I decided not to make any modifications. So I just cut out all of my fabric as per the pattern, and I'm just going to take it, you know, it'll do. I have a lovely color, it's going to be cool no matter what, and I chose a really lovely silk from my stash to use as the lining, which is this gorgeous Marc Jacobs silk. And if you are a sewist and you follow a lot of other sewists on Instagram, you will have seen this floating around the web. It was from a fabric store, I want to say 2019. So it's been in my stash for a while, but when I saw it, I fell in love. And at the time I was like, you know, it was love at first sight. And since then I've not really known what to, whoop, almost dropped my notebook. Since then I've not really known what to make with it because yeah, I just didn't really want to make any clothes out of it. But I did have it earmarked for the lining of another coat that I have been meaning to make but haven't got round to. So, you know, don't save your fabric for best, use it and enjoy it. So I'll find another lining for that coat that I want to make when I eventually make it. So yes, so that is kind of what I'm working on at the moment. That's one work in progress. I do have one other work in progress, which is surprising, but today, well, let me go back a bit. A couple of days ago, I decided to cut out another project. So I just finished cutting out the biker jacket, and I decided, you know what, I just need some pieces ready to sew together when I really feel like sewing. So I cut out the Ellis skirt by Cashmerette, and I've made this pattern before, and I hacked it a little bit to the shape that I wanted to kind of emulate a Gorman skirt that I'd seen online and loved as well, and I'll show you that here. And I cut it out. I am making the mini version, and I had a really lovely forest green bull denim in my stash that I bought from Blackbird fabrics, and here we go. So today I actually sewed up the fronts. So by sewed up the fronts, I mean I did the pockets and pocket linings, and I have a work in progress, which is crazy because I actually feel like since I started this, I actually feel like I want to keep sewing. So it's making me happy. Hallelujah. So that's my works in progress. Oh, this is really cute. I also have some lovely Liberty Tenderloin remnants from my stash as the pocket bags. Ain't it cute? There we go. So, what am I going to show you next? That's my works in progress. I talked about what I was planning to sew, and I talked about the Neenah turtleneck. Jackets, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So yes, holes in my wardrobe, I definitely need jackets. So other than the biker jacket, I have a few other plans. Now, I follow this YouTuber called Toki Doki Traveler. She's an Australian girl who lives in Japan, and in one of her episodes, excuse me, I can't remember which one, but she's wearing this beautiful denim jacket with either a painted or printed or embroidered motif on the back. And I'll post a photo of it here as well. And it is just, I fell in love with it immediately. And I just thought, like most sewists do, I can make that. So I have some Japanese selvage denim that I got from my trip to Japan that I can use. This is quite heavy. I'm not sure if it'll work for the jacket, but if it doesn't, I do have some other denims in my stash. So really, I have been shopping my stash for all of these things. I've not bought anything new. But going back to the jacket that I wanted to replicate, it seems to be a theme with me actually, wanting to just copy things that I've seen. Do you do that? I wonder how many of you actually do that. Let me know in the comments below. I know I feel completely unoriginal in saying that, but you know, when you see something you like and you've got the capability to make it. Why not? Anywho, back to the denim jacket. So I got this tenugui, yeah, in Japan as well, of a lucky cat, and I thought that maybe I could use this as the motif on the back of my denim jacket. So yeah, just imagine that. I actually have a pattern in mind for that as well. I bought it the other day. It's the Juno jacket by Papercut Patterns. It's just got this really nice shape and these lovely pockets that kind of overlap. Yeah, just like almost like a petal, kind of not a petal, but just like a really nice overlapped pocket, and just a really nice shape as well that matches that jacket. So I may not make that in the next month or so, but I think it would be great for spring, which is still a few months away. And yeah, another jacket that I have been meaning to make, and I completely forgot about it until Eleanor from She Sews a Lot on Instagram was actually making a shacket the other day, and I think she's using a Munna and Broad pattern. But she reminded me that I've been wanting to make a shacket too, and I actually have this vintage pattern that I bought from the Bad Sewist, who is a really lovely woman who lives in Canada, and I bought a couple of vintage patterns off her. So I have this one which I think is from, I want to say the 80s or 90s. It's a shirt pattern and it fits me, thankfully. It just seemed like a really nice simple shape for a shacket, and I've had this boiled wool here in my stash for a while. It's a really lovely kind of like ice blue, ice purple, like really pale pastel color, and I thought that might be a nice idea to make a shacket from that. So yeah, you can see I've got a lot on my plate if I want some jackets in my wardrobe. And excuse me, talking far too much. Finally, jacket wise, I recently treated myself to the new book by Named Clothing, and that is called Building the Pattern. I have their very first book, which is called Breaking the Pattern, and I've made a few things from that. And I really love the way that their patterns are drafted. Now, I'm not a small person. I would consider myself a fat sewist or a plus size sewist, and I am surprisingly just at the top end of their size range. So I wouldn't necessarily call their patterns inclusive in the book, but I do fit into their size range. So with a little bit of wiggle room in the ease department. So I decided to treat myself to this book. But I specifically bought this book for the purpose of using their jacket pattern. Everything else in the book is kind of, well, in terms of like my style, it's nice, it's okay, but it's not really my style. But the jackets are what I bought the book for. So here we have their jacket patterns. Now, the thing I love about their patterns is that you've got one pattern that can morph into these two different styles. So here you have a really casual, relaxed bomber jacket. And over here you have a kind of smart, casual blazer with some really lovely detail on the pockets. You probably can't see it on here, but I will try and post a photo here for you to see. I just really loved the versatility of it. You know, I'm all for a bomber jacket, I'm all for a biker jacket. I love the edginess of it, but also I really love how having a nice, smart blazer or a smart jacket can elevate an outfit and really make you just feel polished, I guess. Yeah. So that's the plan. And I have some linens in my stash that I could use to sew the blazer pattern, and equally, if I don't end up making the shacket from this boiled wool, I reckon I could maybe use it to make the bomber jacket pattern from this book as well. So there we have it. Whoop, bit of an avalanche there. I think that's all I wanted to show you today. And if you are interested, if you want to have a look at my Pinterest, I actually have a whole winter wardrobe Pinterest board that you are welcome to take a look at, and I will post a link below. And it shows you everything that I've kind of been inspired by, which equally will be reflected in what I've chosen to sew, well, what I plan to sew, and hopefully you'll enjoy that. Anything else I will link below in the details, and if you have any questions, feel free to come find me on Instagram and send me a DM. I'm probably more likely to see your message there than I am here on YouTube, so drop me a line sometime. I hope you'll join me for the next episode, which will be coming up soon, and that episode will be about knitting because I'm almost finished another project and halfway through another one with lots more planned. Oh, I actually haven't finished. Oh no, I'm going to save that for next time. Anyway, I think that's everything for today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.